Hey guys, so I have another Valken Optima M4 to do a video on. I made a video on one of these probably about 6 months ago, 7 months ago. I actually filmed it at an indoor field, and it was a tan version. Basically what these guns are is pre-Valken V12 to guns, pretty much. So this gun is very, very similar. It's literally the exact same thing as the Lancer Tactical MMC, which is a Lonex OEM internal gun. And basically Valken did the same thing with their gun. They just put Valken logos on it, so it's basically a Lancer Tactical MMC externals. The Valken rebrands it and they put a V12 inside. Now this actually does include the grip connect with this gun. These guns are actually really cool for the price. So price point for these, I don't know if they sell them anymore because V12s are being discontinued, but you probably can find them in stock still, and they were like $350 for one of these guns, which is quite incredible. $350 for a pre-HPA gun is really nice. Now I know some people just hate the V12. Oh, it's a garbage system, blah blah blah. I have installed probably dang near 80 of these engines, and I've only had issues with like one or two, like major issues. I've never had a lemon, believe it or not. I've had a few not work as well, but that depends on the body that they go in, you know, and stuff like that. But generally, I get extremely good performance, and if you've been subscribed to my channel and have watched some of my V12 videos, or you know me personally, and I have 3 V12s myself, they just shoot great when tuned properly, just like any HPA engine. Some people expect to toss it in the gun and just run with it, or even just buy this gun and not worry about it. If you buy this gun with it pre-installed, you are going to need to adjust the settings. I don't care how you think that you should just buy a gun and be able to just run it with an HPA system pre-installed or one that you install yourself. You have to adjust your settings. You can't just throw it in there like a lot of 12-year-olds do and expect it to work. So let me start from the back. It's got a basic crane stock, metal buffer tube, ambi sling mount, plastic body, dust cover, charging handle, safe semi-full auto, just a 3 selector switch. Obviously there's not a 4th mode. Pistol grip on here is ergonomic. It's decent, and it's the same pattern on both sides. It's not like some of those A&K stubby grips. There's a few other brands that make them. It's got like this huge lip on the side, and when you switch hands it kind of sticks into you. I think it's like the stubby type pistol grip. They're okay, but they can kind of get in the way when you switch hands. This one is uniform and it's pretty smooth on both sides, so it's comfortable. Again, this gun actually does come with the V12 grip connect. The rail system here is everything's plastic. You got a monolithic top rail and 2 side rails and a bottom rail, which is a little bit longer than the 2 side ones. The 2 side ones are removable. And you can move them back. You can move them back here, you can move them under here, whatever floats your boat. So pretty cool system. The gun is extremely light. That's a pro to this, which is awesome for beginner players or people that just want to go out and have fun and not pretend they're in the military. So you can get a all plastic gun. This is going to be durable. Like, it'll take a few falls and stuff. Just be careful with it, obviously. Don't be reckless. But you can just go on the field and not get tired. A lot of people do like that sort of minimalist type gameplay. Moving on to the internals. It's got a Crytac rotary hop-up with a G&G green bucking and the stock inner barrel. I clean the barrel. I do that with all the guns that I work on. I clean the barrels, which is just such a small thing. It takes a few minutes to do, but I do that anyways. A lot of people won't even clean barrels. They'll just work on the gun and send it back and not clean the inner barrel, which I lubricate the internals of the engine when I install the upgrades, and the lube shoots out of the nozzle into your hop-up all over your bucking, which can affect trajectory of the BB and all that sort of crap. So after I shoot it quite a bit to get that lube out, or I have the upper off and I do that, but a lot of times there's still some in the gun and it'll shoot out while I'm testing it, shooting out the window and stuff. And then I just clean the barrel right after, and then I go and make the video pretty much. What else? Now the reason why I switched the hop-up to a Crytac is because, so yeah, Crytac barrel, So yeah, Crytek hop-up unit, G&G green bucking, and the stock brass center barrel. I think it's a 603. It looks really nice, honestly. The reason why I'm using the Crytek hop-up instead of the stock one is because the stock one, you can literally pull the wheel back, and it basically, when you pull it back, the hop-up goes all the way down. And so it's very inconsistent. Just by shaking the gun, like, it can move back, and then your BBs will drop. And then when you push it forward and hold and shoot, it'll consistently hop. But when you let go of the wheel, it just kind of moves back because of the vibration of the BB's feeding. So it's not a very good hop-up unit. So I ditched that, put a Crytek in here because that's just what I had laying around, and a G&G green bucking that I had laying around too, and it shoots great. The stock bucking didn't shoot that good. So if somebody buys this gun, you buy a V12 setup, the Optima, I would recommend Pro and hop-up. Test a bunch of different buckings to see what works best, but use the stock barrel. Barrel's fine. That's what I would do, and that's what I did with this. So other internal upgrades on the engine, again, we got the grip connect. We got a orange tap airsoft cut face trigger. Well, I did shorten the trigger pull on it. A bored out black nozzle to be the bore of a red nozzle just to get more air volume. A gold poppet, which is a extremely low flow poppet. It's even lower than the red poppet, which I prefer. I just decided to use the lower one on here. I've used some of the golds before and never really have an issue. It just increases the efficiency a little bit more. Now the FPS will drop, but since this is a longer barrel, I was like, you can still get some pretty decent feet per second out of it. So I decided to go with the gold. And then it's got the S2 Lightning Banjo. So let me go over this again. Grip connect, tap airsoft trigger, bored out nozzle, gold poppet, S2 Banjo, lubricated, tuned, settings adjusted, everything. Shoots beautifully. For the settings, I am running safe, obviously, semi-auto, and then full auto at 35 rounds a second. Now, I worked on a gun for his son. This guy that sent me this gun is actually a repeat customer. He sent me his son's V12, which shoots pretty good. I actually sent it back today. That is more a semi-auto, higher FPS setup. It's got about 1.7 joules with a 0.3. He's going to be playing with 0.3s, and then full auto is like 25 rounds a second. So pretty slow, but more of a pinpoint semi-auto gun, and that gun just sails the BBs. And they go fast too because it's carrying a lot of energy. That gun's mainly semi-auto. This one I decided, the owner of this gun, his son's a little younger, so he's older, obviously. So he's a little bit more, now I don't know his son, I'm not trash talking anyone here, but obviously older players are going to be a little bit more responsible, so running 35 rounds a second is more of an adult thing. You know, older people should be able to do that, younger kids not so much. Quite honestly, maybe there should be, you know, fields love to restrict things all the time, so maybe fields should, you know, some fields do, if you're over 18, you're allowed to do a DMR class, like 450 FPS semi-lock. Maybe, if you're under the age of 18, not a legal adult, you should have to have an RPS restriction, and people that are over 18 don't. I don't know, that would be smarter than just making an RPS rule for everybody, because people that actually do work on their guns can't play there if you actually take that restriction seriously, which a lot of fields don't. They just, oh, we'll throw up a 20 RPS, 25, 30 RPS limit on our website and not even pay attention to it, and people play at those fields with DSGs running 50 all the time. I see it all across the United States. But some fields are Nazis about it, and they take it very seriously, and if you're shooting a few rounds a second over, then you're out of there. Like, they just hate it, they just bully you out, and that's unfortunate. But, again, he's an adult, so 35 rounds a second. He said he actually owns one of the miniguns. I forget what brand, but he said it shoots about 35 rounds a second, so he plays with that at his local field, so he should be able to use this too. Now, yeah, 35 rounds a second. Since it's shooting that fast, I'm going to encourage him to shoot only 350 FPS. So 350 with a 0.2, he's going to play with 2.5s, which will get him about 1.25 joules with the 2.5, which is still pretty decent. But regardless, I always say that in my videos, like almost every time I work on these guns, that the reason why I run lower FPS with a higher rate of fire gun is just, I don't know, courtesy. I don't know why I do it. Nobody's courteous with me on the field. People will yell at me all the time because I'm good or whatever. And I am being courteous by shooting way under the FPS limit just because I enjoy the higher rate of fire. But people just don't understand that. They just want to throw names and be argumentative, but those people aren't even good for the sport anyways. I did miss this. How could I miss this? I sold him this suppressor. It is extremely long, and it is foam filled. I don't think it's completely foam filled. I think it's like right here, and then there's like cardboard in here, so it's pushed to the end so that it doesn't move around in there. I forget exactly. It might be like a plastic tube, but it does sound quiet. You'll see on the video. So I sold him that. It's kind of long, so this is not an indoor gun. He doesn't play indoor, I don't think, at all. So this is an outdoor gun. But the reason why, partly why I did 35 rounds a second is because it's so quiet. So when you're shooting this gun at 35 rounds a second, people shouldn't hear it and complain, because a lot of times people complain as you put an amplifier on this and people hear it and they freak out because, I don't know, PTSD. Like, everybody's got some sort of mental illness nowadays. Everyone's got PTSD. They freak out when they hear a 35 rounds a second, you know, gun with an amplifier, and they just go to the refs and, yeah, he overshot me, you know, crying. Just doesn't make any sense. But this is one way to not run into issues, because in fact, when I would run a foam filled suppressor, I ran 45 rounds a second with my V12 HPA system, and I used the suppressor a long time. And as soon as I took that suppressor off and put my amplifier on it is when people started just crying. Like, everyone broke out, and that's when I had a whole lot of issues. Before that, I was shooting the same rate of fire, just extremely quiet, so people didn't hear it. So people were getting hit the same amount of times. They were getting hit 10 times from 100 feet by a 350 FPS gun with .2s. Like, not jewel creeping or anything, and they're like, oh, hit, maybe a little bit butthurt, but when they hear the gun, they feel like they want to be a social justice warrior, so they just go to the refs or go to the owner and say, yeah, somebody hurt my feelings. So the suppressors will help with that. Just a tip for you guys. I like the amplifier on mine because it just sounds so freaking cool. Like, I wish I was out in California. I want to, you know, with a lot of those airsofters out there, the speed softers, they'll run high rate of fire, amplifiers, whatever, and you just hear the gun across the field, just burn, you know. I would love to hear that. I would kill to hear that, even if somebody's shooting at me. I don't care. It's a game. But you don't hear that where I'm from because people just don't know how to upgrade their guns. Everyone's a crybaby, so a lot of fields don't allow those sorts of things. But every now and again, I have heard some people shoot pretty fast, like over 30 rounds a second, like 30 and over, kind of my ears perk up, and I'm like, ooh. Now, as far as how much air is left in the tank, it's about 1800. And I shot it quite a bit, so this gun is pretty dang air efficient. You really can't get any more air efficient with the upgrades that are in this. So this gun's probably as air efficient as like a Polar Star Jack. Okay, so I turned it down to 85 PSI, 361, 359, 362, 361, 361, 362, 363, 361, 362. So I'll just leave it at that. 360 FPS, that's acceptable. That's probably 1.3 with a 0.25. So I'll tell them 85 PSI. Don't go any higher than that. That's plenty high for the high rate of fire. But let's just go ahead and blow through this mag real quick. There you go. It's probably, since he's going to buy high caps for that gun, might as well just use 2.5s with high caps in this. But let's go ahead and try mid caps just to see. Semi feed's great. Full auto fed 100% as well. So in the feeding category, this gun is perfect. This is what you get, guys, when you know how to work on guns, when you spend years and years working on guns and finding out how systems work, is you get a gun that shoots better than anyone else's on the field. That's what happens in putting work into, you know, obviously, maybe some people would send me their gun for me to work on instead of them working on it themselves, but they are paying money to get that done. But, oh, some fields don't allow it because it hurts people's feelings too much. I don't get it, quite honestly, because people are upgrading their guns to be better than stock, and then they can't play with them because their field is against upgrading guns, I guess. And so they can't play anymore if like they have only one field up close to them, so they have to downgrade their gun or just stick to semi, I guess. So this is a really old G&P mid-cap. It's very old. It's like 5-6 years. That pretty much fed 100% as well. That's pretty incredible. I didn't know this thing was going to feed that good. Okay, so I'm shooting 1.35 joules with a 0.25. That's a little bit too high. Let me go ahead and turn the PSI down again. So it looks like my regulator had kind of gone up. So I turned it back down to 85 and made sure it's at 85. And now it's shooting like 355, which is 1.25. And that was the goal. Like right at 350, maybe just slightly above. It's perfect. So he's going to play at 85 PSI. Regulators are different, so I'd recommend to him to put his regulator at like 85 and then go test it. The goal is to shoot about 325 with the 2.5 or 350, 355 with the 2. So whatever he goes in chronos with, he'll just need to make sure that that's what he's at. The field will allow 400 on semi and full auto, but again, since it's a high rate of fire, I just recommend running below. And it is extremely consistent. I'm hitting that every time. And it's actually hitting pretty good too. Like 1.25 joules is actually pretty decent, so it's got some authority to it. And it's extremely quiet. Let's try some full auto. And you can just hear it's so nice. As far as range, ooh, I'm not even kidding. 200 feet, easy. And that's incredible for only 2.5s and only running 1.25 joules. And it's shooting 200 feet, I swear. Yeah, that's so nice. It is overhopped a little bit, but again, he only plays outdoors, so this will be perfect. Alright, I haven't done this in a while, but since it's got a suppressor on it, I'm going to see how quiet it is. Alright, so as you can see there, it's pretty freaking quiet. Also, we got a landline up here. Don't you just love it how there's dog poop in your yard when you've never owned a dog? Man, I just love neighbors. Of course, with it being a V12, you can just spam the trigger till no end. HPA guns are so much fun to shoot. Like, some people are like, ooh, I like gas bluebacks because it's got recoil, because they need some sort of like action when they fire a gun. Why? I pull the trigger on this and the BB just instantly shoots out the barrel and hits like, because there's no moving parts on a HPA gun, really, just to pop it. Like, it just, BBs are just flying out of your barrel so instantaneously. It's so satisfying, and plus the tunability, you can get really high rates of fire and stuff. But AEGs are fun to shoot too, and I say it on some guns that I build, quite honestly, a lot of them, I just say how fun it is to shoot. It's just satisfying. So I'm actually sending him a couple patches as well. Got the Go Away, Rip and Dip Cat, and then to give them the 40. I had a friend, haven't seen him in a long time, he never replies to me anymore, he just doesn't, I send him a message and he just ignores me, so I guess he doesn't want to be friends with me anymore, but he designed this patch, and just, it's perfect. I told him what colors I wanted and kind of the font, and he designed it for me, and that's what I sent into the patch company, so he made that happen. And then, I forget who helped me with this patch. I saw it on the internet. I was like, I have to have that as a patch. I forget who helped me design it though. Can't remember. It might have just been the website. I think it was just the website that I got these through. I sent them a picture on Google and told them how I wanted it, and they sent me a rendition of it, and it wasn't very good. So I edited it and told them what needed changed, and this is what it turned out to be, which is perfect in my opinion. But yeah, so if you have any questions or anything, let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.